Well, I mean, it should just be anybody should be able to call the FBI and be like, "There's a bunch of people in this building and they're breaking the law, and you should go and arrest them," and then just give them the address to the White House,
Right.
right? And then
You
they
would
should be
think.
like, they should respond. You should
Or
check
at
it
least
out. Go
investigate,
around the
right?
block a couple times, at least.
Well, and the thing is that,
Knock on a couple doors.
Trump had the ability to call in the National Guard, which he claimed he didn't for January 6th. Oh, it's not my responsibility to call in the National Guard,
Yeah,
but he's
yeah,
calling them in now, isn't he?
yeah, yeah.
And he's calling them in my mind, because he doesn't like to see homeless people. Welcome to another episode of the Bloomburg Democrat. I'm Sally Taylor. This is my discerning and thoughtful younger brother, John Daniels. We are here today to talk about things going on in Washington, D.C., which has now been, well over a week or so that this has been occurring. Donald Trump has decided to take over the cleanup of the city. And by cleanup, he seems to be pointing to what he sees as a crime-ridden city full of indigent, homeless people.
Oh,
Are you aware of the homeless
I,
people situation?
I didn't realize this was all about homeless people. I
Well,
thought
it's
it was like
partially,
protests or something like he's been
it's,
doing in LA with the National Guard. Like
yeah, no, 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 no.
I've
No,
been on
this is much
vacation for a
worse.
week.
Okay. So
And
you really haven't seen a
I've
lot
not
of what's
looked
been
at my
going on.
news, no.
So basically, I, I think there's a couple of reasons for what's currently happening in DC.
Hmm.
Donald Trump has brought in the National Guard. He also has ICE participating in this, and
Okay.
the DC Police Department, which he said he wanted to take over control of the DC Police
Right.
Department. They had a guy
Right.
setting aside that he was going to be the one that was going to be in control, taking it over from the city, because crime was rampant in Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
And DC looked dirty because there were homeless people everywhere and it needed to be cleaned up.
Hmm.
He also signed an executive order that said that if you were determined to be mentally ill, that you could be put into an asylum or into prison if there was no room in an asylum. So all of these things are kind of happening concurrently. And the same thing
Hmm.
with the homeless people. They had an option to move themselves out, or they would be moved and either put into some sort of asylum hospital situation if they were deemed to be mentally unstable,
Yeah.
or jail.
Yeah.
So he is
So,
essentially in Washington, D.C., made it illegal to be homeless.
well, just to be somebody that he declares to be insane or so whatever, I guess.
Right.
Is it?
So that's the thing. This executive order does not define mental illness
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
anybody
this is
could be
clearly
declared mentally ill.
illegal.
You think, except for that, there is now National Guard walking around in packs throughout DC, along
Yeah.
with
I
the
read that
police
they may be
force.
armed.
And yes, and so
Mm.
initially, the Army said, or the National Guard said they would not be armed, but
Yeah.
there's several more states sending in additional National Guard units,
Mm.
and they are saying some of them will be armed.
Hmm.
And so essentially, we are dissolving quickly into even deeper fascism because our capital city has just become a police state.
Yeah.
John, what the heck?
Get out while you still can. Either you got to do something or you got to not do something. And if you don't do something, it's just going to keep progressing.
Right. There were some protests in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. So, people in D.C. are beginning to kind of gather and protest.
Yeah.
Although a lot of this activity is around preventing any protest as well,
Yes, yes,
because
that's what I
all
was
Trump has to do is say that's lawless and
yeah.
start having them
These people are
rounded up.
crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Washington, D.C. has the disadvantage of not having statehood.
right.
And so, it's a different situation for DC. And so
Yeah,
they don't have some of the same protections that states do.
right.
Also, the claim that DC is lawless is very suspect because they've had a 30% reduction in
Well,
crime in
if you look
DC.
at the Capitol building and you look at the White House, I would say it is lawless.
Well, I would agree with you on that one. I mean, that's one way to look at it for sure.
Yeah,
It's because it's
it's time to
always
clean it up.
projection.
It's
I'm
time to
with you.
clean it up.
I am.
Send
That's
the
that's a good
FBI.
way to look at it.
Send the
Yeah.
CIA.
But the problem is the control to do that, right?
Yeah,
We, the
yeah,
people who are supposed to be the ones actually who government is serving, are
yep,
not being served currently
yep, yep.
by government. And so
So
who
you
in the
gotta.
community has the ability to call on in the FBI?
Well, I mean, it should just be anybody should be able to call the FBI and be like, "There's a bunch of people in this building and they're breaking the law, and you should go and arrest them," and then just give them the address to the White House,
Right.
right? And then
You
they
would
should be
think.
like, they should respond.
Or
You should check
at
it
least
out. Go
investigate,
around the
right?
block a couple times, at least.
Well, and the thing is that,
Knock on a couple doors.
Trump had the ability to call in the National Guard, which he claimed he didn't for January 6th. Oh, it's not my responsibility to call in the National Guard,
Yeah,
but he's
yeah,
calling them in now, isn't he?
yeah, yeah.
And he's calling them in my mind, because he doesn't like to see homeless people,
Well,
right?
wouldn't it be like a really interesting thing if like the most powerful country in the world did this really cool thing and then just like got rid of the homeless people by giving them homes and taking care of
Homes.
them?
Yeah.
Maybe give them
Wouldn't
some
that be a
jobs if they'd like to
novel
have them.
idea? Mm.
Imagine the power that would display to the rest of the world. Like, hey, we're so rich, we take care of our homeless. What can we say?
Right.
Right?
It seems like an easy thing to do,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
it?
Money is just
Yeah.
coming out our ears. We might as well, make life good for everybody.
Yeah. So it is a combination of, I think DC is a test case for martial
Yeah,
law,
yeah.
first and foremost. Also, it is a distraction from the Epstein fiasco,
That it is.
right?
That it
Like,
is.
this was good timing for this to happen because he
Yeah,
doesn't want anybody talking about Epstein.
exactly.
And it's the hypocrisy of it is very disturbing for me. Mike Johnson's district is Shreveport, Louisiana, is part of
Uh-huh.
that. And it is one of the most lawless places in the
Oh,
nation.
yes.
It's like a
Oh, yes.
murder capital for
Yes.
the US.
Yes.
They're not
It's not
there.
great.
It's not like the National Guard is showing up there to walk the
Maybe
streets
no, the
packs.
National Guard shouldn't be showing up there either, I don't think, but the
I
police
well, I
should get
agree
out and
with
do
you.
their jobs.
Well, the police could use probably help there, right? But
Yeah,
it needs to
maybe.
be police force help,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
just needs, and it
If
also needs to
they've
be
got,
community help. It needs
it
to be
needs to be
people like
community help,
getting outside and cleaning up the area and
right?
having a presence, and being like, "Hey,
And
get out of here. We
taking
don't want you."
care of their homeless and those who are in so much
Yeah,
poverty that they're desperate.
yeah, yeah. Instead, we hear
So,
about churches who are either not allowed to house the homeless or refuse to house the homeless. It's weird.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, it's a combination of things going on, but I really do see it as being a test case to
Yeah,
see what he can get away with in the rest of the nation. Of course, he did
I agree. I
send
think it is.
ICE goons to Gavin Newsom's press conference this last week,
Oh
when
yeah.
Newsom was basically there to say, yes, we are going to respond to Texas redistricting with our own
Hmm.
redistricting that we actually have our people vote on,
Yeah.
but that we will redistrict to nullify that.
Yeah.
And Trump sent ICE agents, masked ICE agents, to stand around outside of the building during that conference.
I guess you should maybe send the state troopers in to arrest them or something. I don't know. If they're standing around menacing and being a threat to the public safety, why not arrest them? Even if they're federal agents, you
What
can't just have
what
federal
what
agents run around being menacing in the middle of a city, right?
what law enforcement do you know that's going to try to arrest another group of law
I mean, you
enforcement?
would think that like Gavin Newsom could say, "All right, state troopers, I want you to go and arrest these guys." I mean, that's what Trump's doing, right?
Yeah. Well, in essence, in
Well, give it a
essence.
shot, see if it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a civil war out of it. Who knows?
Oh gosh. I really hope we don't go to any sort of a hot war. I mean, I do think
Yeah,
we are in a form of a civil war right now.
it's
I'll
kind of
be
a civil
honest.
Cold War, isn't it?
It is a civil Cold War. I
Yeah,
think we're already there, John.
yeah,
And thank
I
goodness
think
there
so too.
are some Democrats that are beginning to fight that fight.
Yeah,
Again, Gavin Newsom, oh, he's
yep,
trolling Trump like crazy these days,
yeah,
right?
yep,
Even to the point that he's mocking him in his own type of language and words.
right.
Um, we've got other governors who are starting to stand up. We have Texas legislators who are leaving the state to break quorum. We do
Yeah,
have people who are starting to show some fight. I hope it's not too little, too late.
yeah,
But and I don't know right now who is fighting the National Guard presence in Washington D.C. I hope and assume there is somebody
yeah.
making that legal argument somewhere. I just don't know who it is.
Yes. I did see a headline about that. Well, so the chief of police has not been removed. I have read that, right?
That's correct. And I do hear that they also said that Trump's person he wanted to appoint to be overheading that was not going to be
Yeah,
allowed to do that. So I have
yeah,
heard that. Yeah.
yeah,
Like I said, one of the things I keep saying is I hope that at some point, what we talk about on these weeks when we get together, that it
yeah,
will start to sound like just over the top because it's not as serious as it keeps feeling like it is.
yeah,
But we've been screaming about the problems all along that have been happening, and it still keeps getting worse. So
yeah,
obviously, there is much to be concerned about. This is not business as usual.
yeah, yeah. I agree. It's not. It's it's worrying for sure. I guess it can keep getting worse because like it's not World War II with Hitler in the United States yet. It's not to that level yet. I mean, but it's close because I mean
But
we
we're
basically
headed
have we
straight
basically
down
have a
an almost
genocide
identical.
kind of
Yeah,
of
yeah,
deportations.
yes.
So yes,
And even and Hitler did round up the homeless and he put them in
yeah.
concentration camps. He rounded up
Well,
people
we've
who
got
were
people in
mentally ill.
concentration camps as well. Yeah,
We definitely have people in concentration camps.
yeah,
And he rounded up the mentally ill. And
yeah,
and that was the time frame when you could almost call anybody mentally ill. You could call a woman, experiencing PMS symptoms
yes,
mentally ill and
yeah,
send her to an insane asylum.
yeah. Well, it sounds like we're making America great again by going back to those times.
Well, so that's why I do think that Trump has this focus on getting the homeless out of DC as part of this cleanup. The cleanup has to do with both what he perceives as the horrible crime as well as homelessness and dirtiness. Like he thinks
Yeah,
it's a dirty city. And
yeah.
so he doesn't want to see that. How can you convince yourself that you've made America great again
Well,
when you see evidence all around you that you're failing at it miserably?
I mean, I guess you've been to Washington, D.C. I went,
Yeah, it's been many years, but yes, I've been
yeah,
many
yeah, yeah.
times.
I went once. I went to the the Daily Show and the Colbert Report's rally to make America sane again, or whatever it
That
was.
was good. How long ago was that?
Oh, that was back when I was in New York. I took a bus from New York to Washington, D.C. And it was nice because they were playing "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles as the sun was rising. We were all standing out there, waiting for something to happen. Anyways, but it was a while back. It was 2004, 5, 6, somewhere around there. But anyways, I went there, and what I noticed about Washington D.C. is around the White House and the Capitol building and all these big famous monumenty type places is that there's nowhere to go to do anything. You can't find food, you can't find a drink, you can't find a toilet. Like, I mean, if you go inside some buildings, maybe they have some public toilets, maybe. I don't remember
Right.
that well,
It's
but
all monuments, though.
yeah, but there's just nothing. There's nothing anywhere. You gotta find a train station and take the train like out of this big parky type area where there's just absolutely nothing. So if you're at the White House, what crime are you seeing? What homelessness are you seeing? There's nothing there. There's nobody because there's no food. There's no water. There's nothing. So I don't know how he can be seeing any of that stuff. I guess I didn't go to the suburbs or I don't know, whatever financial district there must be because I just went for this thing at the big monumental areas and there was nothing. I couldn't even find lunch.
And
Okay.
that's the way I remember experiencing as well. It's been quite a while since I've been to DC, but it's this big area of sort of monuments to democracy and our government.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the Smithsonian, you've got, the mall, and you've got, as far as
Mm.
the I don't mean like a mall like we go
The
shopping at,
National
right?
Mall,
But
I
the
think it's
National Mall, right?
yeah.
And so it's this big open kind of monumented area that's very
Yeah.
clean, very
Yeah.
white. Most of the
Yeah.
buildings are made out of, some kind of white stone, marble, whatever,
Marble or yeah, or something.
oh yeah, granite, something. But
Yeah.
it is definitely kind of our monument to democracy, right? That
Yes.
portion of the city.
Yeah.
Now, I do know that one of the things they have been doing is they've been coming in with bulldozers
Mm.
and bulldozing out areas where there have been homeless encampments if they didn't
Mm.
move, when they were told to. They've been
Mm.
dragging their tents and stuff and throw them into the back of trash trucks. So they're actively removing people who haven't done it on their own already,
Yeah.
who just don't have access to news sources to know they needed to get out to begin with, right?
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
began to remove them forcibly.
Yeah.
And what are happening to those people? That's what I don't know is being reported on yet. Is
Yeah.
Are these people going to jail? Are they just being driven outside of the city so that people don't have to
Yeah.
look at them? Are
Right.
they, where are they going? Are they putting them into mental institutions? And I think I want more information about that from media
Yeah.
to know exactly
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that there have been a lot of problems in Washington D.C. I don't know if it's as bad as Trump makes it out to be,
Well,
but
like I said, they're 30% down on crime.
yes,
And I think
I
it
have read
was a
this.
fairly crime ridden place. I will grant you, I think they have had some problems for sure,
Yeah.
as most big cities do.
Yes.
Most big cities.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
recent history, they've actually been doing quite well, and the rates are going are down and going down more.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a power play.
Yes. Of course. Of course it is. Yes, as you said, it's kind of like a trial for martial law, kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
he's trying to see if he can
Yeah.
take over police force. I mean,
Yes.
if he's thinking out, hey, I'm going to try martial law one day or not, that's it's a little bit irrelevant. I don't know that he thinks anything through that far in advance, um, but it's kind of like a prototype, you know. It's still it's a movement in that direction.
Well, and I still question too how much of these are Trump's ideas and decisions. I think some of
Yeah,
them are, but
yeah.
so much is just straight out of the Project 2025 playbook
Oh,
that I'm
really?
not
So
sure how much he's participating.
I am not so familiar with the Project 2025 playbook, I suppose, or what their goals that they're trying to accomplish. Um, what is this? What's involved, do you think? Because I
Oh,
don't know.
well, I mean, it was big. I never read the whole thing. I've read portions of it here, along the way. But Project 2025 was created by the Heritage Foundation. It was a
Right.
really a far right wing document of how they were wanting to reorganize government once they got Trump back into power.
Mhm.
in for 2025.
Like a master of
And
evil plan.
yes, it was a master plan, and it would take a long time to talk about all of the really concerning things that were in there, but there was quite a lot. And Trump said all during his campaign, "No, I'm not associated with that. I don't know them. I don't know who wrote it. I'm not
Yeah.
associated with it. That's not me."
Right.
Except for that JD Vance was very associated with it. He was
Yeah.
deeply connected with it. And
Did
once
John
Trump went
Hancock
into
the last
office,
page?
he helped to create a lot of it. And
Yeah.
once Trump got into office,
Mhm.
this pile of executive orders was already written and sitting to the side, waiting for him to sign, that were all enacting Project 2025.
Yeah.
Almost all of it was straight from the playbook.
Yeah. Well,
So again, I don't know how much. I mean, he would do anything for anyone that says they're going to support him and flatter him and keep him in office,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like it.
So he doesn't know or care. Well, he said, "I've never read Project 2025." I believe him because he doesn't
Yeah.
read.
Exactly.
He doesn't know what was in it because he doesn't
So
read.
do you think
But he was
somebody's?
more than
I
willing to
guess
sign all their executive orders.
I'm willing to believe that Trump doesn't really read. I don't know if it means that he can't read. Maybe he just does read because if he
Yeah,
can't read, then somebody must be reading Twitter to him, right?
right. No, I think
And
he can't. I
whose
think he
job
has
is that?
rudimentary. It seems he has probably, something like a sixth or seventh grade reading capacity,
Okay.
something along those
So
lines.
he can read a little bit.
He can read,
He's reading Twitter.
but he doesn't read. Like he doesn't read books, right?
Yeah. No, right.
He never read
Right.
Project 2025. In fact,
No.
that was one of the
It'd be way
things
too
that,
boring.
yes, well, his people who handle him, manage him, know that he
Mhm.
doesn't like to read. So
Yeah.
they've told people if they're coming to Trump with information, it needs to be as much as possible in pictures and in
Yeah.
bullet points.
Yeah.
That's all he wants is pictures and bullet points.
Yeah.
And beyond that, he's not going to listen. He's not
Yeah.
going to read it. He's not going to know what you're wanting. He loves a chart that he can hold
Hmm.
up and say, "Look at this chart." He doesn't
So
really know what it means, but he'll
he's
hold it
like
up as his proof.
he's the perfect corporate C level. Like he just wants something that he can grab that somebody else has done and then
Right.
say, "Look what I have,"
Yes.
and present it as his own.
Right.
Right? And all the while
Exactly.
not understanding it at all.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, and if
I got it.
somebody
I
says,
understand.
"Wait, that chart doesn't say what you think it says," because that
Yeah.
hurricane's not headed that way, he'll take his Sharpie and try
Yeah.
to make it go where he wants it to go.
Or just like turn it upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
So
Oh
anyway,
boy.
um, I I keep hoping for a bigger response to what's going on in DC. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think
nationally there should be a
there
bigger
are
response.
well, yes, nationally there should certainly be. I did find there was an NPR article here that the crisis is ending the second week with more soldiers and no exit strategy. Um, People are not happy about it. There's no crime crisis. They're trying to habituate people to the idea you're going to have an armed federal personnel in your business asking questions, stopping you. That's truly scary, says someone named Brooks. Um, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's too much happening against it right now, except for I think it was a lawsuit earlier that had prevented the installation of his friend instead of
Yes, his deputy over the police force.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the police chief. So yeah,
Why
I
aren't
don't know.
more Americans screaming, John? What do you think? Why are more Americans not screaming right now about this situation?
I think what happened in LA has kind of sort of muted what's happening now because the two are quite different. In LA, it was like there were some protests. They were being called in to help protect federal buildings, and supposedly, and
Supposedly.
this time around, it's just roving patrols of armed military personnel in the Capitol. of the United States. Which I guess if you're a dictator and you got your military parades, it's like a normal thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
perhaps. Not in America, I would claim.
Yeah,
But
I would have claimed the same.
all right,
So
we're not going to solve this problem today either. But
I
I
know, but
want to
I
see
think
more
I
response
think
from
you yeah,
Americans.
I think you got to do something or you just don't. And if you don't, then it's going to keep going. And if you do something, well, either if the do something is like what I did and you left, your life just instantly gets better. And if you don't choose that path and you decide to instead stick it out and try to fight for whatever that scrap of dirt you're so interested in is, then you might find you're going to have a harder time of it, but you might have success as well. So,
Well, and I'm not so interested in the scrap of dirt per se, John, but
well, a lot of
as
people are.
America dissolves further and further into this fascist state, uh,
Yeah.
countries are not wanting all the Americans that are wanting to flee.
No,
And
that's
you've
true.
got to have a reason to move to a country. You've got to be
Yeah.
filling a job that they can't fill, or you've got to have an actual reason to be allowed into any other country, much like the United States. And
Yep.
so I just don't think it's that easy of a solution for everybody.
Well, that's not necessarily true because you say you got to have a reason, but reasons come pretty easy sometimes. They really do.
Sometimes.
Like, your reason for existing can just be like you already know how to speak English, and so now you can teach people how to speak English. So that's something to think about. I think the world is a much nicer place than the United States, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you. I dream often about leaving.
Well, all you have to
However,
do is do
I
it.
also dream about who is here to help turn the ship around if we all jump
Or are you
ship.
just there to drown with everybody else because there's too many people piling water onto the ship? You know?
Yeah.
Are you just willing to be drowned by everyone else around you, or you want to
Well,
have a shot at a better life?
if I look historically about what has happened, in the world when these types of regimes come into power,
Yeah.
the reasons they don't persist is because of the good people who say, no more, enough is enough. We
Yeah.
won't accept this any
I
longer.
don't I don't necessarily think this is true because America is a country full of immigrants and all those people left their home countries probably because they
Okay,
did not think it was going to get better if they
I will
stayed.
grant you that. But much of Europe is
Mhm.
now not only, democratic countries
Yeah.
with full medical care for everyone,
Yes, yes,
but
yes.
that's because of the people who stayed and fought and made a difference.
You think America will get rid of its guns if all the people who don't like guns stick around and disagree?
Yeah, I don't know, John. I think there's a possibility for it. I would be happy if we started with reasonable gun laws. That
Yes,
would
I
be a
agree. I
start.
agree. You gotta start down the path before you get to the destination, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right.
We'll talk about another time about another
Yeah.
topic, and we'll keep an eye on this one just to
And we'll
see
get
if,
off onto
and
some
maybe
tangents as
Americans
well.
will get off their couches a bit and start to
Yeah.
say this is more problematic than we've actually
Yeah.
been
So like I said, you
making
gotta
noise
either do
about.
something or don't, but that do something could also be get out and do something about it, right?
Right,
Stick
brother.
around. Hmm.
Till next time.
All right. Bye.
If you enjoyed this content, please hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.